Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a short video as I said I would. Today is the 11th of August. This is also practice for me in terms of this future endeavors. Like, I'm going to be doing a lot more public speaking in different capacities. So I need to practice. So I'm going to start off with uh, saying to you guys that I love this hat. It's so important to me. When I went to uni in Bournemouth, there was a skate shop where they had all of the coolest stuff that I liked at this time. And I saw this brand starter. Usually their hats were more like new era caps, like quite bigger and stuff. But this starter one was in the style of this five panel kind of style. So yeah, and it was black and had astronauts because at that time I was in a very exploratory time. So the fact that it was one of my favorite skate shops, which um, had a five panel cap, which was I wouldn't say the style at those times, but I was skating a lot, and that's what the style that I really liked. Like, even if I think about it, my mind might go back to Odd Future and that kind of stuff. But also the fact that it was black, which is a color I wore a lot, and it had the astronauts on it, astronaut print abstract, and it said starter because I'm the kind of person who starts things. Maybe not finishing them at that point, especially, but I start things, new ideas, new whatever. That's why this hat's very, very important to me. So as I've explained this object now, and you may have history and insight into uh, what it is to me and why it might be important. Maybe you're able to relate to that. Maybe you're not, and but maybe you'll also might find that interesting. And I think that is one of the keys for this video that I'm talking about today. So in this video, I'm talking about human relation and the secret to communication, you know. So I've watched a lot of videos, I've been in a lot of interactions, and even recently I've been in a number of interactions where I've seen that people are trying to understand each other. Even within myself and my relations, I can see that people are trying to understand each other with the tools that they have, but don't necessarily know how to do that. And I'm still learning, but I've uncovered a cheat code recently, which I'm learning how to turn that even deeper. So, as I explained about the hat, there's clues there. So, I'm going to start. I love this because this is what I understand now, what all of these guys, these people, speakers are doing before they really get into the meat of the idea. So I'm just going to, start off with some starters. Start off with some starters, and then we'll get into the main meal. So let's talk about separation and togetherness. So with separation, we could think about it as, let's talk about humans. One human over here, one human over there, distance, not really needing to talk to each other or wanting to talk to each other or relate to each other. Cool. Then we can have togetherness where you can either want to relate with each other, two different humans wanting to relate, or they're just in proximity where they have to relate. Each one has its own pros and cons. Now, let's just talk about separation and togetherness in terms of communication. We could be in the same physical space, uh, but feel separate because we don't feel that we share the same world or same understanding, or don't relate, or don't feel that we're one. And I spent a long time thinking about what makes people feel like they are one with each other, or at least be able to maneuver the same world if you care enough. That's the other thing. For this, with connection, with with connection, you have to care. everyone has to find their own way of caring and the reasons why of caring. That's not the main thing I'm concentrating on this in this video, but if I touch on it enough for you to gain some keys, that's great. All right, cool. So we can be in the same room. I'm just looking at some notes. I have 3 notes here. I'm breaking the fourth wall. The 3 notes are separation and togetherness, standing with each other, and finding balance. So we're in between the 2 right now. So you can be sitting next to someone, but feel like you're worlds apart. And so there is the physical realm, touch, taste, all of this kind of stuff. And we could say that voice is a conduit, voice, speech is a conduit for communication and other forms of communication, writing, art, lighting to help communicate mood. Not going too deep into that. What we're focusing on right now is, let's say, verbal communication. And I might want to strike up a conversation with someone and get to know them. I might ask them, might want to strike up a conversation, get to know them, and build some place of relation. Usually, you might ask a person, "Oh, where are you from? What do you do?" Those are the 2 main questions that I hear a lot. The "where are you from" question might allow someone to kind of get an idea of your physical location, what settings you might have been brought up in, especially if it's London. If someone says to me that they're from East London versus South London, I have almost a completely different idea in my head of who they might be. I may delve deeper just to get the nuances, but there are certain stereotypes that I might draw from to make me feel like I either relate to that person. If they're from East London, like I am, then I feel like I may have a relation to them in that sense. But if they're from South London, there is a difference. But also, I've been to South London, so then I can form a connection in that way as well. These are relating points. One's closer to me and one's further to me, but I'm still able to build a connection. I'm not even saying this is the best way of connecting, but just showing each side. So then I can also talk about not only East London, South London, but I can say, what do you do for a living? And because if someone is a doctor and say I'm a musician or something, it may seem that there's worlds apart uh, differences until we start to dig deeper. I might ask someone, why have you chosen to be a doctor? They might say, oh, because my parents forced me to. And I might say, me too. And we're now have a connection. That's on a basic level. But then also, there might be another reason, like, oh, I've chosen to be a doctor because I care about people. I'm really analytical. I love to support human beings. For me, I would have a resonance with all 3 of those, even though I do a completely different job. So we're finding out what's important to someone and why. And that is the key. And the ways that we're able to be more interesting and find more connection is how we're able to do that without asking those questions all of the time. I don't want to ask you, first of all, I have to go back a step because work isn't always important to people, but usually that's the topic of what we end up talking about. I'm saying this imperfectly because this is also just where I'm at in my mind, and it will always be imperfect in a sense, but this is the imperfection from where I'm relating my viewpoint to you, whoever you might be. So the ways that I'm able to find out what is important to someone and why allows me more insight into their non-physical world, which then I can step into, and which means if I'm near or if I'm far, I have a relation and connection to them. I've found out about that connection because that connection was already there, but we've now tapped into it because we've been able to uncover those aspects. Make sense? All right. If it doesn't make sense, write in the comments, and I'll obviously uh, just air you. I'm completely joking. Especially at this moment in time, I love to communicate with people. And the thing I should have said at the beginning of this video is, if you're able to like and subscribe now, if you don't find any value from the video, please unlike and unsubscribe. That's my way of trying to build connection with people, because I feel like you're here now. Give me a chance. Give yourself a chance also to understand and build a connection. If you don't feel a connection, sever it, if you like. So next, now on the next part of standing with each other is supporting those connections. So I could say that because I care about caring about people, I want to stand and support this person because that's what I'm about. And now I found, because that's what I'm about, so therefore now, and I know that as it is about in that person, I now feel like this person is a part of me in a sense. The way we build up our sense of self, you may see it differently, but there are loads of factors that we feel make up ourselves. I'm not one monolith. I am a bunch of, or I can't say I am a bunch of ideas, but I absorb and utilize a bunch of ideas into my self-image to sort of build my character. My character is based off of these ideas and aims and ideologies and that kind of stuff, and what I truly believe in. So going back to it, if I go into the other person and say they care about people, I care about people, now I'm standing with you in that we are one in that sense. You get it? We're one in that sense of caring about people. Even though we have different permutations of it, we have a connection now. Cool. I don't think I need to talk too much about that. So now I want to skip on to, um if you're in, just about, relating in more of a intimate way. So sometimes people might do things that don't completely understand, because, but either for, of course there are instances where this might not count. However, I would say this, that there are instances where people do things that you won't understand until you find a connection or understanding of why. So someone might leave the dishes in the sink to the evening, and I might get mad because I like things clean per se all of the time. However, this person, I might think they're doing something bad or unideal to me, and I might want control because I like things my way. So does most people. Even if my way is being super chill, say for instance, then that's where I like things my way and I might be chill with it. But if there's another sense of ego where I want things my way over someone else, that's where this might come into play. So they've left the dishes in the sink. I'm not finding out why. I'm just like, why have you left the dishes in the sink? What are you doing? This, that, the other. This could be a sibling, partner, parent, anyone, person you're living with. But I've not found out from them why. So all we've done now is just created a whole bunch of problems. They might say to me, "Oh, why are you so uppity about this or whatever?" La la la, madness. But if I was to say, "Oh, um, I really like this place clean most of the time, but I've noticed that the plates are in the sink, which I don't like. Why is that?" They might say to me, "Oh, I really like after eating my meal, relaxing till before I go to sleep to wash the dishes because it allows me to make the most of my evening and feel relaxed after a hard day of work, not having to wash the dishes up straight after I've eaten. It gives me time to digest my food, this, that, the other, and also gives me time, winding down time later, because this is what I used to do in my family." With my brother, my sister, my parents, and there's so many good memories there. So now I've asked it in this way, I have an insight of what is important to them and why. And I might say, okay, cool. My ego was questioning, it might have been hurt, but I completely relate to you because I also value making the most of my day. I formed a connection there. I found something, even though I might be pissed off, I found something, and I might decide to lean into that. I might say, you know what? I hear that. I hear that. I hear that. Looks disgusting, but I hear that. Maybe uh you could organize the plates in a certain way so the sink isn't whatever, because I like it clean so then my headspace is clear. You get me? Sometimes in certain instances, as I'm saying, you have to care and you have to have some sense of um love above yourself, because some people might not be able to go outside of their regular self and build a compromise. But the more the person, if you're able to actually deal with yourself and compromise with yourself more, and you're able to see others as yourself, just like one of my major things is love thy neighbor and treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated. So this is coming from a philosophy I deeply think about every day. If we're able to do that, it gives more space for us to relate and to understand one another. Sometimes people just might just want to not care. And that's another thing. You might need to understand why someone's not caring at that point in time, what's happened to them, what the important thing that has happened to them, and why they feel that way, for you to then figure out a way to work with them. And the figuring out isn't always simple, straightforward, but it just gives you that platform to start moving forward. So I just want to go through my notes again so it's succinct, so I can leave you with a summary. But before I do, the main thing is about about it's about love. You might not be able to see this as a love heart, but yeah, see that? All right, cool. Let's go back through my notes. So I'm just going to show you the thing that I've drawn as well. See this? Yeah, see this? Yeah, cool. I don't need to say too much. Just want you to look at it. So wrapping up the video, separation and togetherness. We can be together physically, but worlds apart, and we can be far physically, but still have very much be feel and be very much connected. We can have connections as well, and however, they might not be uncovered until we communicate with another and find out what that connection is. Cool. That's point one. Next is standing with each other, finding solid ground, standing on that connection and trying to see yourself in another, trying to see what's important to you and what's important to them, and finding that connection and standing with them and supporting them in that. Yeah. So not only understanding, but supporting them in that thing that you understand. The part I'm missing in this video is supporting things you don't understand. But even with things you don't understand, there has to be some sort of you seeing yourself in another to kind of give grace. Cool. And the last point is finding balance between your ego self, who wants things exactly the way they want them, regardless of someone else, and your bigger self, which includes others. And there's a negotiation there, which I'm going to think about in the next few days, about how to particularly find balance with others when it becomes difficult, but with the tools of finding out what's important to someone and why, to give you insight into someone else's life, allow you to see them as yourself, relate to them as closely as yourself as possible, and relate to them as closely to yourself as possible, and then stand with them in that. Then it's easier for you to find balance between seemingly conflicting actions and viewpoints. All right. This video wasn't perfect, but this is the best I've communicated in 20 minutes for a sec. So I'm just having a look right now. See a neighbor. See a neighbor outside and that. I don't know. But yeah, that's it really. So I just want to say, get me. It's been a tough ride, I'm telling you, but peace and love still. You get me. This is. I hope that people can build or tell me things I've missed, because I'm truly excited by this. The more I'm able to do this, the more others are able to do this in a good way, in an ideal way, to the benefit of humanity. The world will radically change and will be in a place of radical relation. Cool. All right then. Big love still. And until next time, stay safe out there. Mind your head.